Namaskar and a warm welcome to the D Show. Well, every life leaves an imprint. Some people build careers and others build people. On this D Show, and in this season 5 in the 2020 Leadership Series, we are moving beyond titles, achievements, and expectations to explore the choices, challenges, and convictions that have shaped extraordinary lives. Well, today's guest has dedicated her life to investing in people through mentoring, advising, and service, creating a lasting impact that extends far beyond the communities that she has served. Please join me in welcoming from Florida, United States of America, Dr. Susan Rose, founder Diakonos Solutions, leadership and spiritual formation expert, and mentor, speaker, author. My very dear friend, Sue, welcome to the D Show.
Good morning, Dr. D. How are you?
I'm doing well, and good evening to you while we are recording this episode from India. How are you doing?
Doing well. I'm excited to be a guest on the D Show this season.
Entirely my pleasure and privilege, Sue. You have been touching so many lives, and I thought it was just very important for me to hear from you and uncover the woman behind all of these leadership titles.
I look forward to the conversation.
Let's get started. I want to know that if we bump into you in a coffee shop or let's say Starbucks at Florida, who is the person that we are going to meet beneath all of these achievements and accomplishments?
If I ran into you at my local Starbucks, the first thing I would do is probably do a girl scream and give you a big hug.
Oh,
And then ask if
yeah.
you, yeah, and then I'd ask if you had time to sit for a few minutes. I would probably break out my phone and show you the latest pictures of my grandson. But I
Wow.
would want to catch up on life, just the everyday things as well as the exciting things, and probably ask you, what are you reading and what do you recommend that I read? So just kind of everyday things that make up life. But then again, I will absolutely show you pictures of my grandchild. So
Adorable. I would love that. In fact, I'm looking for an opportunity to come to the United States and meet you, meet your munchkins, and, get more
yeah,
familiar with the whole family.
yeah, we
So,
would love that.
we often behind the scenes talk about midlife crisis and, perimenopausal and how women are dealing with it. And before I get too technical about, challenges and navigating difficult conversations, tell me, what gave you the confidence to trust a completely new direction during your midlife when stability was key, like we all crave for stability, but you were like, no, 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 I'm going to get started with something new.
So what people probably don't know is that our family encountered sort of a catastrophic event with one of our children, a catastrophic medical event. And so our stability was completely disrupted. Our whole lives were changed. In fact, I will say that, I had my life before and then my life after. And after coming through a year of helping our son through surgeries and everything else to regain his life in a normal way, it was time to look at understanding that life changes very quickly. And the stability that we crave isn't necessarily going to be there. And so I took a hard look at what I wanted to do. And I really wanted to go for my doctorate. And so I went for my doctorate, and from my doctorate, I founded a nonprofit and Diakonos Solutions, because I'd already done probably the hardest thing I'd ever done in my life. And so everything else, even though it may be scary and the unknown is scary, I'd already faced so many of those fears in other situations that it was easier to step out and do something new and
Right.
unexpected.
Is there any technique or that particular habit that you do when you're, at your rock bottom in your life? Uh, what do you do?
So I have what is called a rule of life, which
Hmm.
are it's based on values and habits. And so there are a few things that I do uh, every day to um, try to stay my best. And that's I exercise, I hydrate, I make sure I'm drinking my water, and I
Sure.
watch what I'm eating. Uh, a lot of women will say, I'm too busy to eat a salad. I'm too busy to eat well. I'm
Yes.
too
Yes.
busy to take care of myself. And
Right.
so what I learned midlife is that not taking if I don't take care of myself, I can't take care of others. I cannot
So
function
true.
at a high level as a leader and within my family and my community. So taking care of myself, sticking to those habits on a regular basis
Hmm.
helps fuel me in a way that I can operate at my best.
Well, you know what? Indian women do struggle with that concept, but the trend is catching up of self care and self love. And I'm sure leaders like you are paving the way for all of us.
I think one of the
So
most valuable things to share with other women is that self-care isn't selfish.
I
It is
know.
not selfish to take care of yourself so that you can take care of others.
But in a patriarchal world, especially in a developing country like ours, you know how men paint it like that, that you're a
Mhm.
selfish mother, you're a selfish sister, if you're putting yourself first. So
Yeah,
there are a lot of unconscious biases to be fought.
yeah, yeah.
So, in every conversation, I have many key takeaways whenever we are talking, even behind the scenes. And I think every role teaches us something different about people. You've had a very beautiful journey, eventful journey, I would say, from the ups and downs. What has working with individuals through some of life's most defining moments has taught you about human nature?
So I have two ways to answer that. The first one is just generally, I find that being kind and gracious and open-hearted is a really is a key way to work with other people. It really is disarming because the world is so unkind. So that when someone is kind and gracious, it really makes people stop and think. And I guess that's an indictment on the state of our world. But I would also say working with women, I work exclusively with women that just how much women underestimate their abilities and their expertise. And so I really try to encourage them and empower them in their situations to live into their abilities and their expertise.
So, do you see a difference of women's self-worth and self-confidence from developed countries, let's say USA versus Africa or India? Have you seen that difference?
So obviously there are huge cultural differences, but I think across the board, women don't believe in themselves, and
Right.
or they don't have confidence in their abilities, and that's part of our systems. And and not having people around them that encourage them. But so yes, there is a big difference. I do work with a woman. In across the world, and she has very set guidelines. Even though she is a leader, it is
Okay.
very evident she is a leader in everything she does.
Right.
She does not have that title for herself, nor will her context have that title, even though it is evident that she is a leader. And
Wow.
so yes, there are differences, and it I can't tell her because she can't. It is what it is, right? She is leading, even though she is not being uh, heralded as a leader. And so, but to continue to encourage her in her abilities and what she's doing because she is making an impact. It's just, it's without the title.
My God. That's a tough story. So, In your personal life, you've seen so many, seasons and shades of human nature as well. I'm sure it has costed you a lot of emotional resilience or resilience in general. So, what has resilience looked like in your own life? Like, what has it costed you?
So resilience for me is continuing to show up. And I think that is just continuing to show up when things are hard, especially if things are hard, and continuing on towards what the goal is. Even if you can't see that, but continuing to work towards that goal, even if it seems impossible, and just continuing, and not giving up.
Right.
And so that's played out in my life in several different ways, whether it was going to school or working with my son or starting a nonprofit, just continuing to show up and taking those steps every day.
But have you paid any price behind the scenes? Because if you're doing so many things, there is a cost attached to it, right?
Oh, absolutely. Fatigue.
Yeah.
um, uh, 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 Health issues, because you're not paying attention to your own health. There have been physical costs in fatigue and some health issues. There's been an emotional cost, because you can we call it stuffing it. You can stuff it or set it aside, but eventually that's going to come up. And so if you don't
Yes.
deal with that, it's going to leak out at another
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So, there are absolutely costs to running hard in those seasons.
Right.
And so paying attention to yourself holistically, your body and your mind and your spirit, so that, you can run hard for that season, but then take care of yourself so that you can run again.
Very well said. In fact, many coaches and mentees of mine, women leaders, I advise them that why don't you start with 15 minutes a day? In
Mhm,
your schedule, just block off 15 minutes, which is just me time. So
mhm,
they say, yeah, I do this and I do that. I said, no, it's not about hobby or it's not about like giving your child the attention. It's just about sitting with a cup of tea or coffee next to the window and just reflecting and
mhm,
seeing where you are in those 24 hours. So would
mhm.
you give the advice to our, watchers and listeners that should it be we can start or is 15 minutes enough, or would you advise them to take more time, all the women leaders who are listening?
So if you've never taken time, taking 15 minutes, it seems like forever. So absolutely start with 15 minutes. If you can't start with that, start with 5 or 10 and work up to 15. And
Right.
then and see how, reflect on how that time is impacting you as a person and as a leader. And then maybe grow into more time, maybe a half day. I would say I would call it a retreat, a half day retreat, to focus on you and your skills.
And doing what you like. I mean,
Mhm, mhm,
I love just having coffee and cake. I think I'm British in that way. I just love my coffee and cake, and I love going out. And there are times when I would just want to go to a Starbucks in India and treat myself for it, not have any company.
mhm, mhm.
Of
Yeah,
course,
absolutely.
I'm labeled selfish because I don't have any company, even if I have an option to. But people are
So
getting around.
sometimes, if you're so busy all the time that you can't hear yourself think, you're missing a big part of yourself. And so just taking, like I said, I think 15 minutes is great, but if you can't do that, do it less and work up to more. So, and just to hear yourself in that moment.
Yeah. So that leads me to my next question for you. In a world that hyperly celebrates achievements, what does a meaningful life look like to you? How would you define meaningful life or success, whatever you want to answer?
So, a meaningful life for me is living a life that is true to my values. And that may not look like the larger culture. That may not, it may push against cultural uh, the cultural pressures, it may push back against family expectations. But a meaningful life is understanding what my values are and how I want to live, especially when you look back and you look forward, you're really at that midpoint. How do I want to spend the rest of my time? And
Right.
I want to spend that time in the way that is that aligns with my values, and so that I can live through my values and impact the world in a different way.
That is so well said. Thanks for sharing your nuggets of wisdom, and I'm sure it's going to benefit so many women leaders, achievers, or dreamers. So, if you could rewrite one unwritten rule, the unwritten rule that exists in our society that still limits women or women, what would it be?
So I have been doing a lot of studying this summer with women and leadership in the church. And what I really like this question. And I'm going to say, I would tell women to look at the system, but understand that the system and the institutions that they're working in are male dominated, male
Yes.
created. And so it it's the male definition of success. And that's where so many women, you're automatically not going to succeed in the same way. Or maybe one woman will, and everyone will say, well, she did it. So why can't everyone else do it? The system is inherently probably stacked against women. So to understand that, understand how the system works, but have confidence that you may look at problem solving in a different way and be comfortable and confident in moving forward in your way, and embracing your success. Your success is going to look different than probably what has been defined, and being comfortable and confident in that, in doing it a different way.
I couldn't agree more. And I think we both are leading by example, creating our
Yeah.
own lives. Yes, when
Mm-hmm.
in India, can you imagine somebody like me, what I'm doing and the way I'm carving my own niche? And there are people around to put a lot of doubts in my head. But then I have friends
Mm-hmm.
like you and Dave, and I land up having some voice of reason and getting my confidence back and pushing through. So we
Yeah.
just have to, and probably just one step at a time. Sometimes we don't have to do
Mm-hmm.
the big leaps, right?
Mm-mm.
Just one step at a
One
time
step
will
at
help.
the next right step. Take the next right step.
Yeah. So when you think about your legacy, Sue, that you want to leave behind, what would you hope people will remember about you?
So personally, I hope that um, I'm remembered for loving well with my friends and my family. But professionally, I hope that I and Diakonos impacts women in ministry in such a way that we change the trajectory, that we are pioneering a new way for women in leadership in their ministry context. So it's, one is very personal, and then one is, I hope I change the world.
Of course, you are. I mean, you've left an impact on me coming all the way from India. So you can imagine how much you're going to influence through our conversation and talk as well. So let's get to the rapid fire. We are well in time. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Okay. So one word that defines this chapter of your life.
Strength.
Wow. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
A morning ritual you never compromise on.
My first cup of coffee.
Wow. Consistent there. One book every leader should read.
That's going to change every year, but this year it's Quit by Annie Duke.
Lovely. I'll put that recommendation in our chat box for all the YouTube watchers. A quality you admire most in people.
Authenticity.
Wow. One habit that has had the biggest impact on your life.
Exercise.
One piece of advice you wish someone had given you earlier.
Develop confidence in your abilities and live into them.
True. A quote you live by, Sue.
We will figure it out.
There you go. Eternally optimistic.
We will
Finish
figure it. Yeah.
yeah, finish the sentence for me. Courage is.
Courage is standing in my truth, standing in my values.
Excellent. And which is that one norm, Sue, that you have broken in your life? I'm sure you've broken many, but tell me that one defining norm.
So I really don't like the phrase "we've always done it this way before," and so that's the norm I break the most everywhere I go. Is I do things differently. I do the impossible things that people lack imagination or grit to do.
Amazing. I loved it. Well, Susan, thank you for reminding us that purpose isn't measured by what we accumulate, but what we contribute. And your contribution to this D Show episode has been phenomenal. I've really enjoyed myself. It's been power packed, very impacting, and I'm sure we're going to influence many perspectives and lives.
Thank you so much, Dr. D.
Okay, flying kisses for you, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
It has been a privilege to host Dr. Susan Rose on the D Show. And to everyone who's watching us, thank you for being a part of this conversation. We'll be back with another inspiring story. But until then, keep asking better questions, keep leading with intention, and keep going beyond the norm. Well, change the norm, define your story, be resilient, like Dr. Susan Rose said, and make a difference, whatever little we can in our lives and other lives. Take care. Bye.